I'm Evelyn, and I'm a geoholic.
Okay, we're back. Got a nice little quiet room again. Lunch was also delicious again today. I was very impressed.
Yeah, the mac, or I'm sorry, the potato salad, mac salad. Or
yeah, whatever that is. Yeah, that's spot on. So we have Elisse with us, and Joey's back. I want to let them we've met Joey before, but Elisse, if you can, give us your name, what you do, and who you're with.
I am Elisse Deleissegues. I am with the County of Maui Department of Finance, Real Property Assessment Division, GIS section.
That do you have to have two business cards for that title, or is it just front and back?
No, actually, my name is on the front, and the rest of it takes up the rest of it.
Okay, and Joey again, real quick.
Yep, Joey. I'm Joey Furlett, Chief Legal Officer of Cedar Innovations, a home affordability company.
All right. Elisse, you're going to have to expand a little bit because you can't have a paragraph title without some context of what actually you do on talk a little bit about your daily job.
I provide support for the assessment team, the appraisal team, the tax max team, Department of Finance, and basically public, right? So all of our stakeholders. I produce maps, experience builder. Really what I do, the main part of what I do is I manage the parcels in our parcel fabric.
Okay.
Yeah. And then add that information to all of that mass appraisal information that the appraisers have and property technical has, put it together and make sure that people have the information they need.
So you're the magic, you're the person behind the curtain of the parcel viewer, the GIS parcel viewer, and
that's right.
Interesting.
Is that all public or available to the public?
Yeah.
Awesome, through an assessor's website or?
Yeah, actually there's a whole hub of information. So it takes you to links to forms, and it's got maps in there, and there's like amenity finders and sales comparisons.
Interesting. And I just learned this. The county of Maui is more than just the island?
Yeah. We're the only county that has more than one populated island. We actually have 4 islands.
Okay.
And 3 of them are populated.
Interesting. Okay. Does your map include the one that's not populated?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Always.
Is it not populated because there's a moratorium on building there, or just nobody has moved out there, or?
Or is it a rock?
Can you not live out there?
It's not populated because it was a bomb testing area.
Interesting.
The whole island is built with unexpected ordinances within 2 miles.
The plot thickens.
Yeah. Okay, so I really want to learn more about that.
If you go on a boat out there, they'll actually give you the warnings on the radio that you might be in an area with mines, and so they tell you, hey, you should get away. I've been out there on a boat, so that's why.
Interesting.
And I've been on the island too.
Oh wow, no kidding.
Yeah. There's only one bay that you can swim in, and you can only swim out to a certain area, right? And then there's like all these signed pathways and roads that you can be on, and you can't be anywhere else on the island.
Okay, so we're not going there.
Yeah. It is really pretty, though. You just got to stay on the path.
It's not a suggestion.
You do realize when you say stay on the path, immediately I don't want to stay on the path.
Right. But I don't think you've ever been presented the option of not stay on the path and explode.
Yeah, no, again, I'm not going to go there.
So I know you're a big part of putting on this conference. Talk a little bit about how you got there and the collaboration with the team, and I know great guys like Joey.
So I think, have we met first in person? Is this our third time?
Something like that. Yeah, we have. Yeah, but we were part of the small crowd that put together the whole conference. It was the HIGICC, HLSA.
Mm-hmm.
So And Elisse, she was doing a lot. She was really pulling the team on a lot of the stuff. So she put in a lot of great effort. So, kudos there.
It's mostly like, get cracking, you guys. Don't have time for this.
I could already tell, based on our email coordination, you are the whip cracker around here. And I mean, kudos to you. I mean, that is a tough job and somebody has to do it.
Whip it good.
Yeah, right.
The fine words of Devo, you know.
So, what do you think so far? I mean, did you mission accomplished? Did you pull it off?
Nobody's talking yet. Not a good.
I'd call it a success. I'd say it's a good success.
What are some of the things you have learned going through the process that you can apply for the next conference?
Clear.
Okay.
My number one would be to start earlier.
Definitely so.
So that means tomorrow for you guys?
We're doing the joint conference, so
Yeah. So
say we'll probably start about a year out, is my guess. Because we started a little less than a year out this last time, and I think starting a year out would be probably a great way to do things next time.
Too, we all have jobs,
right.
And we're volunteers. So, this is like on our off time. This is extra. And being on the board of directors is one thing, but being on the conference committee is even more.
Yeah, that's where the work
where
actually.
It's a lot more work than that.
Yeah.
So I'm interested a little bit more about your day job and what has the interaction been like because I'm guessing you support most of the departments, plural. How is that being received, and how is the GIS and geospatial data being, is it accepted and valued, and how's the interaction with the rest of the group?
Well, I mean, maybe Joey can tell you, like knowing where the parcels are and what the parcel information is kind of valuable. But
I guess my question is, do other people understand that as much as you guys do?
Oh, you mean like John Q. Public, or
Yeah,
you mean
yeah.
I think so. Yeah, the real estate agents really use the site a lot.
The sites, and in fact, to even submit for a lot of brokerages, it's standard practice that you actually will do a printout of that whole tax map.
Okay.
To ensure that everything complies, you have the correct owner on the contract, and that's something that is really standard practice and best practice and standard practice in Hawaii. So yeah, they use it a lot.
Interesting.
But does the average Joe homeowner, know it?
Only when their assessments go out.
Yeah, when their assessments go up, or when there's a problem.
I was gonna say when somebody's like, "That's my tree."
Yeah.
Yep. That's when that happens. But of course, the tax parcel. It's the most important thing is just making sure that it's in the right spot, it's assessed correctly, and that people can identify it. So
sure.
Yeah. I mean that information, you're pulling from one like tabular database and then using a geospatial database and putting it together so that people can navigate and search and see who their next door neighbor is, maybe, or
Okay.
We call these joins in relation or joins
Oh,
and relates.
look at that.
The civil engineer is learning things today. What's the future? I mean, is there more data sets that you can pull in, and is there a laundry list of things we want to continue and make this map do?
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. I tend to be motivated and kind of, I guess, I don't know what the word is. I have big dreams. I dream big. I actually what I would like to see is I would like to see us go 3D. So we actually get condominiums in there. Where we also, because the state of Hawaii allows for, I guess, it's an agricultural CPR, so it's condominiumized parcel regimes, and you can take one legal parcel and split it up into bits, right? So that they have different owners and different values and different requirements. I'd like to see that incorporated as well.
Space, not only 2D.
Right.
Would you do that with something like Arc Urban, or are you thinking like a AGOL like Scene, or have you thought about that?
To be honest, I'm not sure yet. I do have a coworker. He's great. He worked for an imagery 3D company, a large imagery 3D company. And so when he applied for the position to work with me, I immediately snapped him up. So that's his task. I'm delegating again.
Good.
Delegating is a good thing to do, And
is that the plan, to have a full 3D map of the entire island,
of
or
the
at least where
county.
people are.
Yeah, if at all possible, I think that would be really helpful.
Interesting.
I wonder, so I know Google, for an example, has mapped out most of the major cities and they have like 3D models. I wonder, if part of the government, you guys could talk to Google, for an example. Do they already have all that 3D data ready to roll? So it'd be less work and lifting from y'all.
And I can see that potentially happening too. We've also worked with Esri Canada. They put together an assessment analyst 3D of some of the condominium complexes, especially things like the vacation rentals, because that really helps the assessors kind of see what's going on. There's so much that goes into assessments, view sheds and sunshine and all sorts of things that go into that. So they put something together like that, but they built it up from like as-built, right? And they don't have that information to just pass on to us. I was really hoping that we could just kind of like snag their work since we paid for it, but no, that's not how that's gonna.
You could take the 3-dep program, or you guys heard about that? The digital elevation program. So you could, if you had the parcels or say your buildings, right? You could literally do some type of effectively take the height value from the point cloud created from the DEM, associate that with the building, and then you can have it extrude the height of the building based from the elevational value from the 3-dep. And so Arizona State did something very similar to get all of campus's buildings in a quick way.
Do you also get the individual rooms inside with their that's what we need though.
The individual. And the thing is that the numbers don't always line up. So you almost have to have an interior map for some of that stuff, because the individual parcels of the CPRs, the condominium properties, they don't always line up with exactly the floor. So you might have it where floor 1, units 1 through 10 or 1 through 10, but then it might be that instead of you'd expect maybe next floor, maybe 12 will be the unit 2. No, it'll be just 11, 12, 13.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
It's making me think of that old movie. I think it's Being John Malkovich, where he's like at the 7th.5 floor.
So what else, Elisse? What else you want to get out there to? What would you tell somebody about if they asked you how the conference was? What would you tell them?
Tell them that this is a great group of people, and it's a really good opportunity for us to get together. Being in islands in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, you don't get a whole lot of chance to collaborate and see each other in person. And so I think this is a really great opportunity for us to really all come together and reconnect and find out, what people are doing now. Maybe they switched jobs and you lost track of them. They show up to the conference, you found them again.
Cool.
That's good.
What else you got, Nick?
If you had to give any recommendations to other organizations that put on conferences, because it's pretty awesome, especially with the land surveying and GIS collaboration there. Any suggestions for people like you for different states? Well, how do you make a good conference?
Well, the first step clearly is good. The first step is you bring geopolitics there.
He earned that.
Yeah, he really did earn that.
Go for the bag. Go for the bag.
It's really, again, we're nonprofits and we're all volunteers, right? And we started collaborating. I think the 2 nonprofits started really collaborating on these conferences about 6 years ago. I think this is really our 3rd one. But it went so well and got people together and talking about issues between the 2 that at first it was like, why do surveyors want to be with GIS people? And why do GIS people want to be with surveyors? And now you don't hear that anymore. Yeah. You don't hear it anymore.
And I think a lot of that comes down to building the relationships between the surveying and the GIS community. And that's something that the first step probably is to build that relationship. Reach out to your local surveying friend, reach out to your local GIS analyst. Granted, they have very different work styles. One of them gets a suntan, one of them gets a computer suntan.
Right.
But at the end of the day, they're working with the same general type of data, the same general type of principles. And even though, again, I always say the two sides of the same coin. They don't usually touch, but they have a lot in common. They're all made of the same thing.
And do you guys normally do the conference here, or any plans maybe to move it, or does it make the most sense to stay in Honolulu? This is getting political. I can see your eyes.
Now you have dissected the unity of the committee.
It's an evolving topic on that. But for right now, I think that we do know that the Ala Moana Hotel has been really good to us. And so I think we definitely want to continue to keep the relationship going with them. Now, will we maybe add additional conferences, additional sub areas, et cetera, on other islands? I think that's a definite possibility. And possibility there.
We're trying to add each county expo every quarter.
Yeah.
So
cool.
That way Maui will get an expo one quarter, and then the Big Island, and then Kauai the next. That way we're sort of rotating. So maybe if people can't travel here, then they can attend that one, and that's also joint. So, but as far as we did explore other options, but we ended up falling on this one because it worked for us last time so well.
Yeah, perfect. Elisse, last question.
Yes.
Been asking everybody. I asked Joey. He had a great answer, so no pressure. Do you have a mantra that you live by?
A mantra that I live by.
Or that you like and aspire to?
Famous quote, a motto.
Could be even crack that whip, you know?
Yeah.
No,
funny joke.
I'm joking.
Don't make me tell you twice.
All back to the jokes we were making earlier.
It happened.
See, that's a person. Sounds like a person that makes things happen.
Yeah, that's why you run the conference.
Elisse, thanks for spending some time with us. Thanks for all your support and getting us here, and enjoy the rest of the day.
Thanks.
Okay, we're back again. Quick little break there. We're kind of getting down to the end here. Had a lot of great interviews, and I don't know. What do you think so far, Nick? Think you got a couple hours left in you?
I'm not gonna lie. I'm starting to fade a little bit.
See, this is like at the marathon where you're like at the end. You know,
that's why we have some cookies.
Yeah, brought out some cookies. You know,
maybe we saved the best for last,
yeah,
right? So,
so we have Beverly with us. Beverly, let's do some self-introduction. What's your name? What do you do, and who you're with?
Hi, everyone. My name is Beverly Pascual. I am a land surveyor licensed in the state of Hawaii, and I was just inducted as the current Hawaii Land Surveyors Association president.
Oh,
congratulations!
Yes.
Thank you.
Was that a contested election?
Oh, it might have been voluntold, but I love it.
So how long have you been with the Hawaii Land Surveyors Association?
I first joined the organization when I joined my company in 2009, so a long time. So I've been associated with Hawaii Land Surveyors since then.
Okay.
I joined the board maybe 3 years ago, and I started off as director. I was a secretary this year, and now president.
Oh, nice. And what firm do you work with?
I work at Engineer Surveyors Hawaii, where I'm a project surveyor. I first started out in their civil engineering design section.
Okay.
I moved to CM and got into land surveying.
All right. Well, let's stop there because we got to talk about that a little
Okay.
bit.
Yeah, I knew this was coming.
All right. I'll throw you the softball, especially with this crowd. Why and what was your interest in surveying? What got you to go to that side?
So I graduated with a degree in civil engineering, and we were exposed to surveying during that time. But I originally started off with design. I started off with their construction management section.
Okay.
And the main thing with that was because I didn't want to be chained to an office desk. And with construction management, I was able to be outside more in the sunshine. You know, sunshine makes me happy. So it started off there, but I knew that I wanted my licenses. So I started off with my civil engineering professional engineer license. And I moved through and I returned to CM. Back up. When I was in civil engineering design, it was great. You learn a lot, but it was a lot of computer work, a lot of emails, not that much sunshine. So luckily I was able to go back to their CM section. And I decided that why not get it all? And I asked to be transferred to their survey section where I got my land surveyor license as well.
How long ago was that?
That, which one?
Survey.
The
Right,
survey license, I was licensed in 2020.
Okay.
Yeah, COVID year.
So, awesome stuff. I still want to know why. Was it just on a whim, or did you?
I'm very lucky in that in my office we are a smaller company, and a lot of these people above me, all my mentors, they had dual licenses.
Okay.
And I felt that I knew that I could do it. So
Well, now you're hitting some targets
I gotta
there.
be honest, I'm sitting between two engineers. I'm starting to freak out a little.
It's intimidating, right? Yeah. Yes.
My math skills are not good enough.
Congratulations. That's
Thank you.
quite but you mentioned your mentors. Talk a little bit about the importance of how we talk about that a lot. Talk about how important that is, and it's for your career.
The right mentor is very important. They can really make or break your career, but I guess your outlook on your career. I was lucky to have very understanding mentors that, they'll push you to the limit, which is good. But they know when to do it. And they were all very encouraging. And that's what you need when things get like really hectic. They know when to back off. But having the right mentor really makes your career. It makes or break your career.
Sure.
And your workday.
So I have to ask, now that you're dual license, are you mentoring anybody?
Not yet.
Okay.
But I hope to in the future, and I will apply a lot of what I learned from my mentors towards them.
So what's next? I hear GISP is a cool thing to get.
Oh, I had no idea that is a thing. I need to add that. Does that go after your last name as well?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I have to write that down.
Alphabet soup.
I love alphabet soup. What's one more?
So let's talk about conference a little bit. How was it pulling it together? Were you involved? I mean, I've seen you've been volunteering all your time. Now that we're kind of at the last chapter here, what did you think so far of how it went?
So we planned a conference last year that was just with HLSA, but this is my first time helping plan the event with HIGICC, with the JS people. And this one was a bit more intense, but we all pulled together. We had a lot of meetings, and just everything that I've heard, from the content to the food to the venue has been really positive. Yeah. So we're really happy with that. It was good. Basically, we start planning once this ends. So
Sure.
I mean, it takes a village, and it does. You got to start early.
Yeah, and we have been blessed with a really good team that works really hard. We work well together, and whenever there's always somebody to pick up the slack if there is, and that's what's really important.
So I'm just curious, are you going to stay practicing land surveying? Is that it? Are you? Have you found your spot?
I do. Surveying is my favorite hat. I am right now. I'm actually more into construction management right now, just because I'm trying to finish up a project at the airport. But after that, would love to go back to surveying. I love GPS. That's one of my specialties.
Oh, yeah. Nick loves GPS too.
Are you a person, a Trimble person?
Okay, so our company uses Carlson. Yeah. So
Carlson's one of our friends of the program.
Yeah, sponsors the show. We get to see them a lot. So that's really interesting.
But I find that the software is, I think once you learn the basics, my company was very good. They sent me to classes on what to understand. Why do we do least squares adjustments, and why certain things. And when you understand the basics, I believe that transfers to a lot of the software.
Oh, so. Sure. No, that's well said. Where are you? Are you native Hawaii?
Yes, I'm born and raised in Hawaii. I grew up in Eva Beach, went to Campbell High School. I left for a little bit when I went to college in Gonzaga, and I came right back. Yeah.
Like basketball. Then.
I do.
That's been a common theme. People grow up here, they go somewhere for college, and then they come back.
Yep.
What are some of the challenges that associated with being a civil engineer and a land surveyor here in this state versus others?
I don't think we have that many different challenges. We do have a lot of different, I guess, outlooks because we are the only state that came from a kingdom. And so we do have like special things with our maps and all that. But yeah, I haven't seen too many.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
I have to ask because we don't meet that many professional land surveyors that are women.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
So you're kind of a unicorn.
Thank you.
I know, dual licensed female.
You're the first one.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I just would like to ask for our female listeners, do you have any tips, advice, anything that you would tell them if they wanted to get into the geospatial?
Yes. I would say that if you believe that you can do it, you can. And I found that when you are genuine in your interests and in your desires and people see that, they respond to it and they will help the real people will help you achieve your dreams. So, yeah.
What about this conference? Would you give people, what would you tell people about, recommending to come, what they can get out of it?
I would totally recommend this conference because this conference is actually combined with the GIS, and we as land surveyors sometimes we are stuck in the past, but we don't like to change. But
stubborn is what the term is.
Never heard that.
Yeah. Sometimes we don't like to change, but we have to. We have to keep moving forward. That means moving forward with technology, moving forward with GIS integration, and we can't stand alone. This, especially even now that I see the PE exams, they have the PS exam. They have GIS integrated into the test now, and this is a great place to, I guess, get your feet wet and get an understanding of GIS and surveying and how they relate together.
Well said.
Yeah, I don't know why you were nervous.
I know.
You did great. Yeah,
Thank you.
Anything else you want to get out there? Talk about? Reflecting
but then
on?
to go back on your point about how, there are not many female surveyors. I think that we've gotten a lot better, but I do believe that if you are a girl out there and you want to get in some of these male-dominated fields, you can do it. It's totally doable. Somebody will always help you, especially if you find the right organization like HLSA and HIGICC. We are always there, and the right people will push you up to where you are, to where you want to be.
Well said.
That's La Lima, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's cool. All right, before we let you go, we asked the same question to everybody. Do you have a mantra that you live by?
I do. It's actually a word. I like to repeat the word persist in my head because no matter what, I will always persist. So that's my word. I don't know the motto, but maybe my motto is like to always do your best, give your best. And because that's what people respond to. If you are doing your best, you're giving your best, nobody can really get mad at you. And it just shows.
Man, that's awesome.
Yeah, persist is actually, I love it. Simple, one word, but I mean, it's so important, right? Life is going to have bad seasons. We're going to have hard projects,
nothing's
just got to stick
perfect.
with it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Beverly, thanks so much. I'm intimidated because you are super smart and passionate and well-spoken. So thanks so much for all you did for this, and enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you, guys.
All right, here we go. We're back again. This time we have Claire with us. She's been probably the busiest person walking around during the last 2 days. I've seen her motoring. I think we caught her on the empty side of the tank, but she'll give us a couple minutes because I'm very interested to hear about her experience. So, Claire, if you can you give us your name, who you're with, and what you do?
So my name is Clare Mamura, and I started a business.
little bit of background. I've been in the industry for about 13, 14 plus years. And I originally started at Meyer Schools, which is Hawaii's largest private landowner.
Okay.
And then the most of my time was spent at Army Corps of Engineers, Honolulu District. I was there for 8 years. And then headquarters Marine Corps for a year. And about 3 years ago, I started my GIS business. And mostly it was on the side, but this past year for 2024, it was full time. So
Congratulations. Way to go. That's not an easy thing to pull off.
So wait, you just started the business and you're doing all of this?
yeah,
That's
That's admirable. Tell us a little bit more about your business. What's the name of your company?
it's called Pacific Geospatial Services.
Okay.
Or short Pac Geos.
Pack Geos. Nice.
I like it.
My primary mission, my big reason for starting it was to be able to filter more of the jobs that I want to be able to do for Hawaii. So my goal is to work on projects that are beneficial for Hawaii and the Pacific, and then focusing on projects around sustainability and energy independence.
Okay.
Anything that is good for Hawaii that's going to help us be more
Are
resilient.
you from here?
My dad is born and raised on Hawai'i, and then he joined West Point right out of high school. Traveled almost every 3 years, and then we moved to Japan, 96 to 2002.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Big chunk of it was in Japan, and then I came back here in 2004. One of the big being in the military and traveling all the time was really hard to kind of settle down. So it probably wasn't until maybe about 2 or 3 years after being here that I really kind of started to connect back with family and build a network. And eventually I got to a point where I'm like, okay, this is where I want to retire and I want to get back to learning. So one of the things that I also support, which is kind of in alignment with the HIGICC mission, is to grow local expertise.
Okay.
And Ireland. So I've had folks reach out that want to help support me, but my focus is to really hire locally as much as possible. So I've stood my ground so far.
Nice. Oh, that's amazing. So how did you get into this business? Like what, the analogy I've been given today is, did you sit down with your guidance counselor and they said, yeah, why don't you start a business in GIS?
You fell asleep on a map.
Yeah.
Woke up here.
I actually started at Meyer Schools as an intern.
Okay.
So that was doing GIS work, and it was really awesome because it paid really well. They trained me on the job. And a lot of the stuff that they ended up training me on ended up being extremely beneficial to me going over to Army Corps of Engineering. So they have a huge vault with all these maps and deeds. So a lot of the time you're doing the research, and they had huge master plans and agricultural plans. And so you're kind of in amongst their entire portfolio doing different projects, which is really awesome. But the real estate GIS is really where that ended up being beneficial at Army Corps of Engineers.
Sure. What are some of the exciting projects that you could tell us about that like you said, that you get to choose to work on?
So we started in 2004. My first major contract was with State of Hawaii, the Office of Planning and Sustainable Development, PSD.
Mhm.
And so their primary goal is I work with PSD and DAR, and they have a scientist, and she's been doing tons of research on Hawaiian estuaries. And so it's working with her, getting that data into a GIS format, and then creating a tool that's going to be helpful and beneficial to various stakeholders. You know, they'll be looking at it from a potentially planning perspective, and also maybe some scientific functions.
So the map nerd in me just wants to know, so these estuaries, how are you mapping it? Are you using LiDAR, bathymetric stuff, sonar, aerial mapping, drones, all of the above? Do you get to go scuba? Like, tell me about it.
I wish, and she gets to fly in a helicopter, which is really cool.
Do you get to fly in the helicopter?
I do not. So there's about four types of estuaries in Hawaii. And so she's kind of doing some really interesting work where there's a fourth type of estuary that isn't
in the classification system.
Okay.
And it's kind of more specific to Hawaii. And so it's very unique, and it's got a lot of data that's being developed behind it, which is pretty interesting. And she's going to try and see if they can fit it into the greater classification system.
Oh, cool.
That's pretty awesome. That's probably the most exciting part. As
So
far
is
as
it Clare's classification system? Like you get to name it?
I like
It
it.
would be pretty.
I mean, you are the person like punching it in, so who's gonna know?
sneak.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
So it might be obvious, but I'm just curious. What do you love about Hawaii?
I really love the network. I think a lot of the folks here are very passionate, and it's probably like that in a lot of places, but folks here are very, very passionate about supporting local and doing good by Hawaii to make sure that we keep advancing and being sustainable.
Yeah, I get that vibe a lot. Everybody we've talked to is passionate about what they're doing, but they're passionate in a way that supports the community and the local area. Switching gears a little bit, you moderated a panel earlier today. Believe it or not, that was today. I know it's been a crazy one. Talk a little. That was about emergency response teams. Yeah, talk a little bit about what you guys talked about.
So discussion was titled Geospatial Collaboration for Emergency Preparedness, Response, and Recovery in Hawaii.
Okay.
And so this has been something that we've been socializing for maybe about a year or so. So from my personal experience, I can't really speak for other folks, but
go ahead. No, I'm listening.
Yeah,
So like,
fine.
lots of things going on and everybody wants to help. Sometimes like best practices don't necessarily go through during that time. And so and they're like, okay, we'll just do it later. But then it passes, it subsides, and then it kind of gets thrown on the back burner. And so HIGICC, we started a working group that focuses on keeping that discussion going.
Okay.
So best practices, and it includes everything from, or at least one of the collaborations that I'm hoping for is that we'll expand the working group to be between HLSA and HIGICC, so we can look at all of the geospatial research from survey to drone remote sensing and GIS. One of the other things was acknowledging that there already is a framework for a lot of the emergency response. So, you know, if there's something comes up, the county will try and address it. If not, then state and then federal. So acknowledging that all that work already exists. We're not trying to recreate the wheel or get in the way, but we want to work together to make sure that we're supplementing and navigating with them. And there's a lot of nonprofits and folks that are doing work that don't necessarily get captured in that framework that would be beneficial for us to help try and guide that into a larger plan.
Again, like you do all these great projects, like these things seem, I mean, it's amazing and it's commendable. So what's the gist, I guess, of the panel discussion? Is it more awareness, or is there a plan to integrate more? I mean, I guess what I'm thinking about is like you said, assisting the current system, and hey, maybe you didn't know there's a map for this, and maybe you didn't know there's data out there to help. Is that kind of the idea?
I think when I was trying to figure out how to frame the panel discussion into 40 minutes, I was trying to originally kind of fit a lot in there. So we kind of modified it to just basically leave it open for people to make suggestions. And just, you know, for a lot of these folks, because when we socialized, it was mostly at our geospatial expos or like on private asides and things like that. So in this situation, this is probably something that folks are hearing for the first time. So just kind of getting their feedback, their thoughts, like kind of gauging their interest in wanting to have something like this and be part of something like this.
Okay.
Do we move forward? Is it enough interest to move forward? And what does that look like? I think
Would you say that this kind of, I'll call it a project, does that kind of embody the spirit of this conference as well, of like kind of pulling together and coming together and collaborating?
yeah. So I'm sure a bunch of people had mentioned Malima.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
HLSA is a fantastic organization to collaborate with. We're perfectly in alignment. A lot of like our membership and our mission, but then we also complement each other and have like a little bit of overlap in a way that's beneficial. So I think it was only natural. A lot of the conversations around emergency have a survey and a GIS component.
Yeah, I think it's a great case study at the very minimum of showing people how to collaborate, work together on kind of these two different, but now not really two different, spaces anymore, right?
Yeah, it's impressive. We've mentioned this a couple times to other people, but we do these shows in different states, and this is uncommon. It's uncommon to see the collaboration of GIS and surveying at such a in your face, right? When we joke about it, usually there's a GIS presentation at the survey show.
Yeah,
there's one presentation of a surveyor at the GIS show, and then we all sort of just wave at each other. But you've caught on to something here, and
yeah, I think so.
We just encourage you to tell people about this, because I think the rest of the states have something to learn. You definitely have got something good going. So, keep it up. I mean, it's impressive.
Yeah, that's great feedback. Very encouraging.
I know it's at the end of a couple of long days for you, so we definitely appreciate your time and all the support and help of getting us here and everything. It's been awesome, and the whole team has been great. I do have a question I ask everybody, and I'm curious your answer. Do you have a mantra that you live by?
Something that was ringing in my head when I was trying to figure out this panel discussion. It's, and you can quote me.
Okay.
On this one.
I'm marking a clip here for just to make sure we catch it. Okay.
It's only impossible if it doesn't become reality. I might be tired.
We'll give you a second.
Can you revise that for me?
Okay. I'm gonna edit. Yeah, all right. I'm just gonna go backwards. I love it. Very, very well said. Thank you for everything. Thank you for a little bit of time you spent with us. Hope you get some time to relax and then recharge. You did a great job. Like I said, busiest person at the show so far. So
appreciative. I think this is some format, and we'd love for you guys to do it again. That's fantastic.
No, your hooks in me. I'm in. I don't know about there, Curve.
Not a lot of convincing me.
You just tell us where and when, and we'll be there. Sounds good. Thanks for everything. All right, let's keep her going. Getting to the end. I think I've said that the last 3 interviews we've done, but we'll just keep this going. Still meeting a lot of great people, and we have Jim with us. Jim, if you can, self-introduction. Give us your name, what you do, and who you're with.
Jim Reinbold. I work for Carlson Software.
Okay.
I'm a regional sales director, and with Carlson almost 18 years.
Wow. Okay.
So just started. Yep.
Yeah.
Brand new.
Just figured out the policies. Okay, I got it.
And you think that's a long time, but I am not the oldest guy on the block doing this for Carlson.
Right.
So we stick around a long time.
I have to mention, and I appreciate Carlson's support of the program. They've been a friend of the program for a while, and we always appreciate them and what they do and help support us. So
happy to do it.
Let's talk a little bit about the conference. So are you based in Hawaii, or are you here just for the conference? And, kind of why are you here?
As I said, I'm a regional sales director. I cover 9 different states, including Hawaii.
Okay.
So when you get the opportunity to cover Hawaii, find reasons to go there. Conferences are, a good reason to go.
Noted.
No, it's you're selling Carlson equipment, making the company money. That's why you're coming, right?
Right.
Okay,
right.
got it.
Uh-huh. Totally.
So,
and what's it been like so far?
it's been a good conference. Well attended. They announced this morning that this is like one of the largest groups they've ever had. And traffic at the booth and people coming into The exhibit area has been awesome.
I will say, spatially speaking, you have kind of the perfect setup because you got to walk right by you.
Yeah, everybody has to walk by the booth to get in.
Yeah.
That wasn't
nice.
accidental.
That wasn't accidental. Nice.
No.
It's not your first rodeo.
No.
So I'm curious. You're are you a conference roadie guy? Like we get to meet a lot. How many conferences a year do you do?
13, 14. I've done 3 in the last 3 weeks.
Oh, okay. So you're on a run.
Yeah.
So maybe the better question is, what's your frequent flyer mile?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What status are you at now?
Actually not that high because I moved from Colorado to Idaho about 6 years ago, thinking I'd do a lot of short jumps on like Alaska and whatnot. No. What I've discovered is driving for 10 hours is not that tough.
Okay. All right,
so I drive a lot of places and I don't fly. And lately I've decided that's okay.
Okay. I like that. What are those 9 regions that you cover?
The 9 states I cover currently are Wyoming, Montana, Idaho, Oregon, Washington, California, Nevada, Alaska, and Hawaii.
I just got to say, like, most of those states are freaking awesome. I would find reasons to go to most of them.
I'll accept you didn't include Arizona, so that's unfortunate. But it does sound like I would be remiss if I didn't allow you an opportunity to talk a little bit about Carlson and the company and what you guys do. I mean, I know it's turned into a household name, but
Carlson's been around 43 years. Started out mainly in software, originally focused in the mining industry.
Okay.
And they branched out over the years. It has changed significantly since I started 18 years ago.
Yeah.
18 years ago, smaller company, leaner. Everybody wore 24 different hats because there weren't enough bodies. We've grown up today. We've added hardware to our list, so it's not just software anymore. And that's been one of the challenges is getting the word out that we do hardware. There's a lot of people who don't know about that yet.
What are some of the advantages of the adding hardware as a product?
Hardware. We found that hardware will help sell software.
Okay.
Especially on the data collection side. We had a good run with ServCE, supported lots and lots of hardware, and lots of people used it. But then as manufacturers started to kind of pull back and require fees to use third-party softwares, we found that, hey, if we really want to keep selling our product, we're going to need to have our own hardware to put it on. So we did.
Fair
Interesting.
enough. Yes.
And when along that process did that happen?
Oh, this started happening probably 2010, 2012, somewhere around in there.
Okay.
Is Carlson originally a Canadian company? Where are y'all from originally? Yeah.
So our founder, Bruce Carlson, was a engineer and a surveyor, and he settled in a little town in Kentucky called Maysville. It's about an hour southeast of Cincinnati on the Ohio River.
Okay.
He met this wonderful young lady whose parents lived in Maysville. So he made sure he got a job there, and he's stayed ever since, and he's completely committed to the town.
Interesting. Okay. You said that you obviously come here a lot. What's your experience in meeting the people from this area specifically?
Well, what I'm finding, so I started covering Hawaii again in November of 2023.
Okay.
So this is my first trip here since then, which is in part a function of all those other conferences and so on. But I'm finding I probably need to get out here more often. People are anxious to hear about the products. They're anxious to learn more about the software they already have. We could probably do more trainings out here.
So talk to me. I'm staring at some Carlson hardware right across the way. What are some of the units that you're pushing pretty heavily and seeing some traction with?
Well, the one that I didn't bring out is a robotic total station. We ran total stations from Geomax, and so a lot of people are familiar with that. The kind of our leading hardware piece is the BRX7.
Okay. Tell me about it.
It's been like the most popular GPS receiver on the market for 2 or 3 years. It does very well under canopy. People are shocked at how well it does under canopy. First 3 times I went out to do demos with it when it first came out, the words out of the mouth from the end user was, "We're going to take you out somewhere where you can't get fixed."
You're like,
Couldn't do that?
Uh-huh.
Well, the end users are 0-3.
There. Okay.
So we got fixed everywhere they took us, and they finally gave up.
And so why is that? Why does it perform so well in that condition?
Part of it, honestly, is the L5 band. That's helped out immensely, and I think other manufacturers would acknowledge the same thing. If you have L5, you're going to perform better under canopy.
Okay.
The rest of it is the GNSS engine in there from Hemisphere. They actually build the units. It has a really strong process for clearing that out. The other advantage is when you start getting 4 and 5 constellations, you just have more satellites to pick from.
I remember, 15, 20 years ago, and we would go on the internet and look at PDOP schedules. So like basically where all the satellites were, and we'd schedule our lunch breaks around when the satellite, precision or the geometry was going to be bad. But nowadays with so many satellites, it's like I'm tracking 30 satellites if I'm outside.
Right. So today the issue is becoming more site specific. The idea being, if you want to come down to downtown Honolulu and survey, you may still want to go do that because you're in a canyon.
All right.
And you want to think about where the satellites are and how many you're going to be able to get at that location. Because even if there are 30 up there, you've got a lot of buildings blocking your view.
Well, and that's when you take out that sweet robotic total station you were just talking about and use the right tool for the right job. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you're out in the woods, if you can find someplace you can't get fixed, well, maybe you have to do that too.
Interesting. But like you said, they're 0-3 on that trial so far. So that's impressive. Yeah. All right. Well, what are the cooks cooking in the lab at Carlson? What's coming up next?
We're looking at more hardware innovations.
Okay.
Working with manufacturers that we've worked with and pursuing all kinds of additional implementations for we're starting to look at getting things built up on the cell phone market. Which one am I talking about? Not Apple. Android. Yeah. There's not a lot out there for Android for data collection.
Right.
And so we're starting to look at getting some together to put out on
and a lot of the nerdy surveyors are Android guys instead of Apple guys.
And they keep asking.
Yeah.
Just curious.
They want it.
Had you have any market penetration into Europe? Because you talk about Android users.
Oh yeah,
whatever it is.
It's flipped. Yeah.
Well, we might actually have several offices in Europe.
Oh yeah.
So we have an office in York where we do manufacturing.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
We have our own laser measurement division that does some really interesting stuff. Mine rescue type hardware, where you can bore a 2 or 3 inch hole in the ground into a cavity, feed this thing down, and then it just starts spinning and scanning, and you can figure out whether there are people in there or not.
Interesting. And I'm guessing you can do that in a quick time.
Yeah.
Kind of mobilize and I guess as far as emergency response,
right,
knowing where you're going and what's in there is got to be a huge benefit.
Right. Why would you want to dig a tunnel down to this place if there's nobody in it?
Yeah. Right. Or nobody moving in it.
Yeah.
So, Jim, in your very short 18 years at the company, I have to ask, what's the coolest job site or person you've been able to assist or help with their solution with Carlson? Any cool war stories?
Wasn't even a surveyor.
Wasn't even in a surveyor,
but it did end up in a survey publication. There's some mounds in Missouri, very large Indian ruins that they wanted to go in and map, but they didn't want to have to do any excavation. And they were using magnetometers to penetrate the earth. And they were using BRX-7s on top of them to track their position.
So talk to me a little bit about that so our listeners know what you're talking about, because I don't really know what you're talking about. Magnetometers. Yeah, tell me all about that.
I don't know what a magnetometer is. It's got to be similar to ground penetrating radar.
Oh, okay.
But it's using a different technology, but it allows them to see into the ground and find things like artifacts under the earth that they can map, identify without having to move any dirt.
It's awesome. Very, very cool.
So it's very non-invasive.
Talk a little bit on the software side. What's the plan, or what's coming up next? Continue doing what's working, because it's a popular product.
Yeah, we're
a lot
going
of
to
people use
continue.
it.
we're going to continue a lot of the stuff we've done, with the office software, annual releases.
They're going to allow Bad Elf to have drivers in there so we can use their software. What?
Oh, that's a great idea.
I now know this
You
guy,
just
Jim.
got to throw stuff out there and manifest it.
Yeah, you've got the inside track, Nick. I haven't even heard that yet. You're way ahead of me.
You are way ahead of the company plan there, buddy.
But I'm just a regional sales director. I don't know anything. Obviously we'll come out with the annual releases. We're going to have updates, and we'll get those the same way we always have, from user input on what they're looking for, things that they'd like to see us be able to do. The version 7 of our ServPC has been a huge success because of some changes we made internally with it. It's allowed us to do things we could never do before.
That's amazing. Anything else you want to get out there, Jim, before I let you go?
I think we've spilled enough of the beans already, but
nice. Nick, what do you got?
I got one more question.
Go
Can
for
I
it.
ask you one more
Yeah,
question?
do it.
Okay. So what do you think the market in geospatial, say, over the next 1, 2, 3 years looks like? There's a lot of turmoil, obviously, and this is not a political question, but more so from your experience. If you had a crystal ball, what do you think's coming down the pipe?
what my crystal ball right now is going to tell me is, yes, today people are kind of holding back. They want to figure out it's like somebody threw a whole bunch of cards up in the air, and we're waiting to see how many of them land inside the circle. Once that happens, we're going to discover is there's a lot of pent-up demand. All the stuff that people haven't been doing right now, they're going to want to do, and it's not going to take 3 years to get there.
Wow. Love it.
Are you guys publicly traded?
No.
It's too bad.
Like that forecasted. Insider trader happening right here.
All right, Jim, before I let you go, question we've been asking everybody. Do you have a mantra that you live by?
If you're not having fun doing what you're doing, change it. Life is too short.
Love it. Yeah, that checks a lot of boxes for me. Life is too short. So, Jim, thanks again. Thanks for the support of the show. Thanks for spending some time with us. Good to see you for the last few days. And then, safe travels back to the mainland.
Thank you. It was fun.
Thanks.
Hello.
All right, we're back. If you can't hear this, the music has started. What's the word for happy hour here?
Pauhana, bro.
Pauhana. I've heard that 17 times and I still can't remember.
Work is finished. Pauhana. Yeah.
Okay. So
Work is finished.
We have reached the end, and we still had to talk with one guy that I hadn't had a chance to. So, quick introduction. Give us your name, who you're with, what you do, Meyer.
My name is Meyer Cummins. I am a land surveyor working for DAGS, the Department of Accounting and General Services. I don't know why the land survey division is there, but I'm with the land survey division. I have not been drinking from it. I actually would stop slurring if I had a drink. I am with the land survey division with the state of Hawaii.
Okay. All right. And we have Stephen with us again. Sorry, excuse me, I had something in my throat.
He hasn't had a drink yet either.
Yeah, exactly. I know, right? Give us your Stephen, quick name, who you with, what you do.
Real quick again, Stephen Umbajis. I'm with Air Data Solutions, aerial mapping company. It's based in Louisiana with also in Hawaii.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Cummins, it's been what? How long since you were on the show last? Is it 2 years ago?
I didn't know it was that long ago.
It's been more than a year.
It's been more than a year. Yeah, let's just leave it at that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what have you been up to since then? What's been new in the last couple years?
Well, I just took the bar exam last week.
Really?
I did, yes. It's the worst thing that I've ever done in my life. If I fail, I'm going to go manage a Walmart.
You are not doing that again.
You went for the bar, and then the bar went way low. From lawyer to Walmart.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't want to try harder.
You're going to have to explain to us, though, what is this, like survey law now? What are we doing with the...
Well, so the reason why I went into it, actually, Walter Robillard gave a talk at one of these HLSA conferences maybe 15 years ago. And I was still trying to get my license at the time. And he was convincing me, hey, you can be a surveyor. You can get your license. And when you get that, you can be a lawyer too, just like me. I'm like, okay, well, calm down, guy. Okay, all right, let's start with survey license and we'll see where it goes from there. But then I did ultimately get my license, and I started working in the survey divisions, and a part of my job is to advise the Attorney General's office and act as an expert witness if necessary, and review fight title actions and things like that. And I started finding that aspect of surveying really fascinating. Property law, land titles, fight title actions, civil actions. And so I thought, what the hell? It's COVID. I'm not going anywhere or doing anything. I might as well go to law school and not just hang out.
COVID, law school.
I mean, that happens all the time. Just, you know what? I'm kind of bored.
I was drinking a lot of alcohol during COVID.
Yeah, I know.
Studying.
We took very different routes. If you improved your life, the whole thing, I think I went backwards.
If by bar at law school you mean lots of Carlos Rossi, yeah.
Yeah. You went for a different kind of bar.
I went crazy. And I heard there was a part-time class that you could take at the William S. Richardson School of Law at the University of Hawaii.
Okay.
And so I just signed up for it. And it was a very enlightening experience. One, I'm not as smart as I think I am. But I was able to get through it.
Is it one of those things like if you truly don't use it, you definitely lose it?
Yes, absolutely. It was a lot of reading, but the more I did it, the more I enjoyed it.
Okay.
Just looking at the law, seeing how it applied to real property, I immediately started applying the things that I was learning to my job, and it made my job that much more exciting. I was more effective as a land surveyor. And so, yeah, I took the bar, and I'll find out in May if I pass.
So after you find out that you passed, what are you going to do with it? What different are you going to do after?
Well, that is a really great question.
Not work at Walmart.
Not work at Walmart.
Retract your application to Walmart. I do like how you just assume you're going to be a manager, by the way. You just slip that in there. Like you don't have to work your way up.
Yeah, I might be able to stop going. Just have to go up from there. No, I'm not 100% sure yet. I like where I'm at the survey office. And, there's opportunities there, but yeah, maybe there's a law firm that's interested in having a licensed land surveyor who's also licensed in the law and providing legal advice and surveying advice. That's the hope. We'll see.
Okay.
What about politics? I could see a political background there.
Oh,
I
like that.
If I like people, maybe. But you have to get voted in. I don't think people, once they get to know me, will be like, we'll have that guy represent.
Yeah, he really embodies how I feel.
Well, let's give him power. That's a really good idea.
Right?
Yeah.
So the last time we talked, we were talking a lot about Lahaina, and right then was the fires. Is there any update on that effort? And we talked, I think, specifically about preservation of monuments.
Yeah. So what we have managed to do is get an awareness of the importance of the survey monuments and an awareness of the fact that many of them were destroyed or disturbed. So I know the county's taken some steps towards having contractors go in, locate what monuments they could find, and publish that data.
Okay.
We have surveyors volunteering their time to go down in there and talk to clients and let them know, hey, you're going to need to survey in order to get your house rebuilt. The county's also come up with a checklist for getting your building permits, getting your survey, providing a lot of advice for homeowners. So again, the awareness of the importance of surveying has increased. I'm a little bit frustrated that there hasn't been greater effort put into bringing surveyors together to discuss a big plan. Right now, I think it's going to be done. And to my mind, knowing that Lahaina had already had surveying issues built into that area before the fire, and now it's going to be more complicated to try to fix things. My concern is that surveyors are going to want to stay away, because if they put it together piecemeal, once all the pieces finally start getting closer and closer to getting fixed, they're going to realize, oh, there's this latent latent problems built in that weren't obvious until now, and surveyors might be wary of that liability clause.
Yeah, I was going to say, is there a lot of liability? That's a great question, right? And now, as a lawyer, right, you can talk about that.
I can't give you
About $350 an hour.
Oh, that's what I mean. Hold on.
licensed yet, so I can't give any legal advice. But I had surveyed in Lahaina a number of times. I know that when we were in there, we had to sort of compartmentalize the errors and subdivisions to each other, throw errors in roads, try to minimize the impact to the private landowner themselves, which might have created little errors, but we kind of pushed them around so that they were spread out and create big problems. But if you're going to go in and try to deal with it piecemeal again, missing boundaries, missing control, survey controls, there's going to be all those little errors are going to end up in a couple of places as big errors, because people are going to have to rely on record information, which we know didn't match what was on the ground at the time, and all those little errors are going to accumulate to big problems. And surveyors are often the first to blame when those things happen. So,
right. So is it one of those things like everything's going to, like a whole line of property is off just a little bit, and then at the end of the line, eventually that's going to be big enough to get over somebody's fence, and then that's where it's going to hit. And
so if you think about like a least squares adjustment, you got little errors.
I think about that all the time.
Oh yeah, I go bad.
No, that effort to sort of disperse all the little errors so that each angle, each corner doesn't have some big problem in it. That's what we were doing in Lahaina originally, and I think it's all just going to end up. That's my fear.
What do you think about that, Nick?
Okay. The entire time you're talking, I'm sitting over here thinking to myself, is this an opportunity to start fresh? Tabula rasa? Like, I understand you guys come from a kingdom and there's a lot of rights and land ownership things that are very, very, concerning for the people here. But like, could this be an opportunity to kind of reset up everything, for the next 300 years, and instead of sort of piecemealing the mitigation, kind of like, okay, we know we have the problem. What would actually be the best way to sort of reset and not, kind of rubber sheet it in?
Question. I've talked to a number of surveyors when this problem surfaced, and immediately they said, look, let's just consolidate everything together and then re-subdivide and adjust property lines slightly, a little bit. Everyone gets adjusted, because without all those monuments to hang your hats on, we're going to just have to start over. And that would make the most sense. The problem I see with that, and I'm not opposed to that solution, but you're going to have to get everybody on board. And how
do you do that?
Yeah, and you've got 2,500 property owners that you've got to contact, get them to agree to sign over their rights to us reapportioning their lots.
I'm just glad BlackRock didn't buy out everything, right? Apparently, that was like a legitimate. Like if people came in and tried to like extort, like that was awful.
Yeah,
it is awful.
Yeah, it's I think people refer to that as disaster capitals.
Yeah,
people are put in
I don't
a
think
bad
I've heard
place,
that term before. Yeah.
Powers come in and say, hey, let's take that off your hands for you. No problem. I know you're suffering right now, so I'll give you 60 cents on the dollar of what you got. Now you'll have something. And then you'll move on your life.
Yeah.
That's not uncommon in Hawaii.
Yeah.
So it is a great concern. People are determined to go back into Lahaina, reset up their lives. So I don't think that that's going to fly. But if this recovery process drags out for a really long time, people will get it. And that's when that disaster happens.
Yeah, but you're going to have a law degree, so you can be the big guy that comes in and drops the hammer on them, right?
Honestly, I think I would enjoy that.
Sure.
Well, I spent my entire life looking after the public interest, and like the little guy's own rights in his land. I mean, land is very expensive in Hawaii, and oftentimes the properties that people have been handed down or inherited over many generations. And for one family to decide, damn it, after this fire, I have to give this over because I don't have the money to for my destiny anymore and make sure my land stays safe and I can enforce my property rights. I think that's a big shame. As a lawyer, the law is often the battleground for these sorts of situations.
Yeah. I mean, we have a great example of that actually over on Kauai. There was this really wealthy guy. I'm not going to name names, right? who went and bought a big bunch of property in Kauai and decided to build himself a end of the world bunker
compound.
Yeah, compound. Yeah. And there was there was some humbug with some of the local folks that didn't really want to sell their property, but somehow or another it's got a bit. I don't know, it worked out. But,
Yeah.
So there's a legal mechanism called partitioning, where if you can purchase an undivided interest in a particular piece of land, you can, and the other individuals who own that undivided interest don't want to sell, you can go through a court action, have the court partition the land, either on the ground or in kind, which means the court basically does a forced sale, and then the money from that gets dispersed to the owners.
Yeah, forced sale. Love that. Yeah.
And so essentially what happens is, just speaking in general terms here, that individual who may have purchased a small undivided interest and forced the sale then comes in on the foreclosure auction and buys up all the interests for pennies on the dollar. And now they've acquired all that land. So the law is being used as a weapon, and it can be used as a shield too, but it's being used as a weapon to sort of scoop up people's ownership. And that's
super interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, that's awful. You're literally taking advantage of people in like their low moment, and some small, or at least it sounds that even a small interest could like break up something much, much larger.
Yeah. If you think about it though, the mechanism makes sense in certain contexts. For example, there's a lot of, and so these little land pieces are called kuleanas, and those are lands that were claimed by the common people of Hawaii during the Mahele. And I'm happy to chat about Hawaiian land titles with you guys for hours if you want. But in a nutshell, over time, those small pieces of land, the owner would die intestate without a will. So it just transferred to the heirs, and the heirs would die and their interest would transfer to their heirs. So now you've got hundreds of people with an undivided interest in a quarter-acre lot. And the law looks at land as they want it to be used in a useful way. So the mechanism is there to basically force, if the families can't literally divide it up on the ground to make it useful, then the law is saying, well, we're going to force the sale, you get your interest in cash. And then that land can now be turned over to somebody who could use it in a useful way. So there are certain contexts where that kind of makes sense. Maybe it's not hundreds of people. Maybe it's you've got 5 family members. You're all squabbling. Nobody wants to sell, but nobody wants to take care of the land. The law's going to say, okay, one of you, if you want to pull your interest out, you should have a right to pull your interest out. And that's where the forced sale.
Yeah. And it does make sense. But like you said, it also has really got weaponized and in a way that's completely illegitimate. And that's really sad. Yeah.
And that's why you need good lawyers. You need to make these sort of arguments in front of a judge.
What's your number? Can you put your business card in the?
Yeah, you're really doing a good job of selling yourself here, Meyer. I gotta tell you. So what else is exciting? Let's talk about the conference a little bit. Before we let you go, you pulled this thing off. We got a huge room of awesome, great people. What do you think of the last 2 days?
I found it fantastic. In the last few years, I don't want to say that the conference has gotten stale. It hasn't. But we go over the same concepts or similar concepts because we get new members, new surveyors come in, and we're covering really important topics. But this year, we managed to bring in some new speakers on really interesting topics. We had a lawyer talking about water rights, the history of that. We had another lawyer come in to talk about the legal implications of owning a business. Now, I like to tell people, you get a surveying license, you're walking, talking business. But how you run that business determines your liability for the work that you do, if you have a partnership, if you're a sole proprietor, if you start an LLC. So that was really cool. What else did we have? We had some concurrent sessions where we talked about what we call K2 surveys, but they're perimeter surveys. But often in perimeter surveys, that reveals the possible existence of an encroachment. Then we had another lawyer come in talking about, okay, if you find an encroachment, what does the client do from there? And they talked about encroachment agreements, whether something is an encroachment or not. So we had some new stuff here I thought was super duper exciting.
It was all exciting for him because all law based. Like I didn't go to any of these.
Wait. You're on the committee, right? Interesting.
Doing all those.
Like, wait a minute.
Yeah. Well, so again, self-promotion is awesome. On point. How do you think everybody else experienced the conference?
It's a lot.
Yeah.
And it just automatically doubles the number of people, doubles the number of faces from surveyors.
Awesome.
And I'm of the belief that GIS and surveying are quickly merging, into a single profession at some point, and it's no longer separate. And it seems silly to have this artificial distinction. Let's get people that are working on geospatial stuff, land surveying stuff in the same room, talking about all our skills and careers build upon each other and add value to each other. I think this conference is a perfect example.
Nick and I have been talking about for the last 2 days. Very few people we talk to see a line between the two sides. They don't see really sides anymore, and definitely see the future as fully integrated. And everybody we talk to here has been super nice. And you guys really have kind of set the standard of, okay, you can actually combine these people and get a lot of value out of it. And I have a feeling we're going to start to see more of these type of events that are not so silent.
Yeah. I mean, we got the Aloha spirit too. So that
definitely helps. Yeah, that helps.
Everybody shocked us, everybody high fives.
I know. It doesn't hurt.
And we don't do that in Texas.
Yeah. Having an inherent cooperating vibe is definitely helpful, but a lot of great people came together. We had a great opportunity to meet a lot of them and talk to them in the last few days. So it's definitely evident the passion's there. So it's amazing. We're running long. Our great guy that helped us with our AV said that we may have used up all the data for the Wi-Fi. Yeah, we're gonna be cut off
Right now.
Any last words you want to get out there before we let you go?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to you guys. Spreading the word. This is really important to us. It's been really cool chatting with you guys. I just see us becoming, we're in this little island state, but we're still spreading our message, spreading our love out there. We pulled you guys in there. It helps to have like a sunny tropical island to visit. But no, we just really appreciate you guys.
Absolutely. No. And thank you for everything. Last thing, we ask everybody, I probably asked you a couple years ago, do you have a mantra that you live by?
Share what you know.
Bang.
Way to do it.
Dropping the mic.
I love that.
Mic drop. We're done. Turn it off.
Stephen, it's been a pleasure hanging out with you for the last couple of days. Dr. Nick, as always, it's been great.
Mahalo.
You guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And then to everyone that listened and will listen, come check it out. Come check out the islands. And I believe we're going to be back in 2 years.
Yes.
2 years. Mark your calendars. Hopefully it lines up with your child's spring break again, and you can do some great things.
More data.
Yeah, the whale season.
Yeah, right. All right. With that, we're out of here. And as always, we like to say at the end, be safe and happy.
Aloha.